Hiya folks, and welcome to part 3 of my ukulele tutorial series, how to play a ukulele in 10 easy steps. Now if you're joining me for the first time, it may be prudent to actually watch parts 1 and 2 and then it will make more sense. They are all interlinked. Also, if you haven't done it already, please print off the worksheet which is in the description and it will be a lot easier to follow. Just before we get stuck in, let's have a quick recap of what we covered in lessons 1 and 2. The very first lesson was very basic in the fact we looked at 3 chords that you probably first learnt, which were C, F and G. Now, not only did I show you those chords, I showed you the reason why you learnt those chords first, and then also how you could have what's called relative minors to those majors. To do that, I used something called the circle of fifths, and we're going to be using the circle of fifths again today. It also is a great tool to allow us to actually change the key. So once we know there's a group of chords that's in a particular place, we can rotate the circle of fifths either clockwise or anti-clockwise, and we can transpose the key. Moving on into the second lesson, we actually changed the chord names for numbers, where we looked at intervals, and for the first time we were saying things like a 1-4-5 in a particular key. That allowed us to look at things like blues and rock and roll, and we had some demonstrations of that with pieces like Shake, Rattle and Roll. As a contrast, we also had some 3-chord pieces, and one comes to mind was Country Roads. So we looked at that in 3 chords, and then we actually went a little bit further and elaborated on that chord set into 5 different chords instead of 3. So before we get stuck in any further, let me share with you on the screen the worksheet that you should have in front of you right now. Hello, here I am down in this corner. Right, let's have a look at this sheet. If you haven't printed off, please do that now. Right, just a quick recap on what we did last time. We looked at the circle of fifths and we were proving that certain chords belong to certain families. And when we're talking about the key we're playing in, we always put that at the top, and it just so happens on the circle of fifths that the C is here right at the top. Makes it nice and easy for us ukulele players. So we've also got the F here, we've got the G, and we've got the minors here, the D minor, the A minor and the E minor. Now if you have a look at all 6 there, to make it a little bit more readable, what I've done is put it in a square format, but it's the same thing. So if you can see F, C, G, D minor, A minor, E minor, here we go. So F, C, G, which are your majors, and D minor, A minor and E minor. And what I was saying in the previous lesson was you can actually rotate this round. So just let me get rid of these and just prove to you what we can do. Okay, and just go back to that little marker. And so if we pretend that the F is at 12 o'clock rather than the C, the one to the right of it's going to be C, the one to the left of it's going to be the B flat, and it's going to bring in these minors here, the G minor, the D minor and the A minor. Right, okay, so if you have a look down here with the F in the middle, because it's always this one in the middle which is our key, you can see everything that's there small but larger here. Okay, it's square, and I don't need to do it again, but basically the same thing is for G, and the G is in the middle there where we rotate everything anti-clockwise. So just before we get into it, there is a little disclaimer here. Please note the intervals should be displayed as Roman numerals, and I've actually used real numbers for ease of reading. That's the only reason I've done it. All these intervals should be written in Roman numerals. However, that's just another thing to worry about. And for today, and today only, I'm just going to write them as numbers, if you'll forgive me. Okay. When we get to it, we're going to be looking at the progressions, the famous progressions I was talking about last time, which was like the 1-4-5, which we had examples of Country Roads. We also did a rock and roll, Shake, Rattle and Roll. And what we're going to do is go a little bit further. So instead of having just 1-4-5, we got 1-5-6-4, we got 1-6-2-5, 1-6-4-5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and even look at this one, 1, 5, 6, 3, 4, 1, 4, 5. Anyway, we'll get to that when we get to it. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. Let's dive in now. Okay, so on the sheet that you should have in front of you, you can see the circle of fifths, and underneath there is 3 boxes, which is basically just an enlarged version, depending on which one is at 12 o'clock. As standard on the circle of fifths, C is on the top at 12 o'clock, and therefore we got F to one side and we got G to the other. and if you just look down at the box underneath, immediately underneath, you can see the C in the middle. And if we wanted to change to the key of F or the key in G, we just rotate the clock. And to save doing that, I've actually written the boxes underneath the circle of fifths, so you can see for the keys C, F and also G. Now this will apply to every single key. I've just chosen to do 3 keys for you today. So the one that we spoke about and we gave some examples of in the last lesson was the 1-4-5. So in C, our 1 is C always, and our 4 is F, and our 5 is G. So that's just in the key of C, of course. So we have C, F and G. Now we did in previous lessons demonstrations of a sort of a blues piece using those 3 chords. We're now going to go a little bit further. Now because of copyright reasons, potentially what could happen is the audio will disappear, but if it does it will come back. So it's just to do with copyright, so I fully appreciate that and respect that as well. But I want to be able to show you how you can use these sequences with particular tunes. So as you've got in front of you with the 1-4-5, Shake, Rattle and Roll we've already done, Hound Dog is just another 12-bar blues, Jailhouse Rock is another one, Folsom Prison Blues is another one, La Bamba and Twist and Shout. So let's look at those last 2, okay? And if we're in the key of F, for example, we've got F, B flat and C. Okay, so we have this going on. Now if you can't quite do the B flat, you can of course cheat by lifting off what's on this 4th string just to do it like that. It will work just the same, okay? So that would sound like... But of course, if we're going to be playing La Bamba and Twist and Shout, we have to go a bit quicker, more like this. La 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 bamba, la 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 da da. Or shake it up, baby, now. So it just shows by repeating those 3 chords over and over again, all that's happening is the melody is changing and the chords and the chord timings have remained the same. So what if we want to do a piece like Folsom Prison Blues? All we're going to do is change our speed a little bit and the timing of the chords changes a little bit. So let's get going with Folsom Prison Blues in the key of F. So we've got F, B flat and C. So this is what this is like. Let's get going. You ready? So that just shows that you can do 2 different speeds, but the pieces, the melodies are different, but the chords remain the same. So the next sequence I'm going to show you is perhaps the most used in popular music. You probably don't realize it, but there are hundreds of tunes using this chord sequence, and it's called the 1-5-6-4. Now it works the same way as the 1-4-5. We're literally just going to pick the numbers 1, 5, 6 and 4 in the various keys. And if you look at those 3 boxes underneath the circle of fifths, you can see how I've got to these actual chords. But to save you looking in 2 places, I've actually written underneath the 1-5-6-4. In green I've put it in C, in blue it's in F, and in G it's going to be in red, and that's going to carry on from here all the way through the rest of this sheet. So 1-5-6-4, what does it sound like? Well, first of all, let's try it in the 3 keys. So in C, we start with the C, and then we go to our 5 chord, which is the G. Our 6th chord is a minor chord, it's A minor. and then our 4 chord on the end is an F. So if we play 2 chords on each, do you want to join me? Okay, I'll count 2 in and we'll just do 2 strums on each of those chords. So just as a reminder, it's C, G, A minor, F. Ready? 1, 2. Again. Kind of sounds familiar, doesn't it? You'll see why in a minute. Okay, so let's change the key. So we're still going to do a 1 5 6 4. Remember, the numbers remain the same even though the chord names change. So 1 5 6 4 in the key of F. Look on the blue is F, then C, and then D minor, and then B flat. Or you can cheat by doing that. Okay, so we have F, C, D minor, and B flat, or cheat. Okay, so I'm going to play it first just so you can get an idea of the sound. Here we go. Okay, so do you want to do that with me? 2 in, and we're going to do 2 strums on each. Keep it straight for now. 1, 2. Again. Fantastic. And our third example is in the key of G. If you have a look at the red on your sheet, we've got the following chords. We have G, then D, then E minor, and then C. So G, D, E minor, and C. Okay, I'll show you what it sounds like. 3, 4. Okay, so let's do it together, but we're just going to do 2 strums on each. Are we ready? Here we go. 3, 4. Again. Now then, so let's have a look at some of the tunes which are written on that progression. Okay, so we've got Country Roads, which we've already done in a previous lesson. So we got, let's do it in C. Country roads, take me I belong. So you get the idea. Now, you may say, well, hang on, you played 4 strums on each chord instead of 2. That doesn't matter. I can play 4 strums, 2 strums, 10 strums, it doesn't matter. But the sequence of the chords remains the same. Now, that last note there, it was a little bit high for me. So this is where we can look at doing a transposition, so changing the key. So if G was too high for me to sing, I could play it in F maybe. So country roads, take me home. I belong. So using our circle of fifths and transposing, we've actually managed to get that same chord set that we've learnt in a different key. It's clever, isn't it? So Country Roads is one. Another one is Don't Stop Believing by Journey. We've got I'm Yours, great little tune, and we got Can You Feel the Love Tonight? How does that work? Can you feel the love? Get the idea. It all works with the same chord sequence. Now, sometimes when you go to, after it's gone twice through, the piece itself, the chords might change. So it won't stay the same 4 chords all the way through. But it just shows how different pieces from different eras are still using the same chord progression. So that basically, in a nutshell, covers our 1, 5, 6, 4, but there are many tunes out there that use that progression. So the next one we're going to look at is the 1, 6, 2, 5. And remember, these numbers always stay the same. Doesn't matter what key we're playing in. It's the actual intervals between the notes. So our one chord, if we're playing in the key of C, and this is going to be in green. Okay, so we're at 1, 6, 2, 5. Have a look at that. So we've got C, which is our 1. We've got A minor, which is our 6. And if you look at the next one, D minor is our 2. And our 5 is the G. Now remember, of course, with all these major chords, you could have a 7th on the end. To be technical, it's called a dominant 7th, just to give it a little bit of sparkle. And the minors, now and again, instead of a normal minor, we can do a minor 7th. But more of that as we go on. So our sequence then in green is C, A minor, D minor, and G. Now, if you have a look on your sheet at what we did just prior to this, the 1, 5, 6, 4, I just want you to have a look at the number 1. The number 1 is C in both cases. This is just to prove that it stays the same all the way through. Number 6 was the third chord along in the 1, 5, 6, 4, and it was A minor. And in this particular sequence, it comes in second, but it's A minor. Can you see? And also we've got a G on the end of this sequence, and it was the second chord along in the sequence prior. So always the numbers remain constant, the chords remain constant to those keys no matter where we go. So we've done it in C, our 1, our 6, our 2, our 5. Again, it sounds popular, doesn't it? Okay, let's learn it in another key. So let's do it in F. So our 1 chord in F has to be F. Okay, our 6th chord in F is D minor. Our 2 chord in the key of F is going to be G minor. Yep, and the 5 chord in the key of F is going to be C. Simple as that, or C7. Remember, you can add 7ths if you want to. Okay, so in the key of F, our 1, 6, 2, 5 progression is F, D minor, G minor, and C. Okay, so why don't we play these together with in the key of F, and we'll do 4 strums on each, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. Fantastic, but we're doing examples in 3 keys, aren't we? C, F, and also G. So let's have a look at the 1, 6, 2, 5 progression in the key of G. So now our 1 is G because that's the key we're in. So we've got 4 on that. The next one is E minor. Our next one, the 2, is the A minor. And the final one in this key is D. Okay, so now what I'm going to do just in this key is I'm just going to show you what it's like if I put dominant 7ths on instead of just playing majors all the way through. So not all of them, but now and again I'm going to put in a dominant 7th. So here we go in G. We got this. Okay, so the last chord I changed from a D to a D7th. What else can I do? The minors can go to a minor 7th. So instead of playing this minor here, the E minor, I can play an E minor 7th. Okay, now this doesn't just go for these pieces I'm going to be playing. Whenever you find an E minor, you might want to play an E minor 7th as an alternative. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play it in G, the 1, 6, 2, 5. I'm going to play a normal G major. I'm going to play an E minor 7th. I'm going to do a regular A minor and a D7th. Okay, do you want to try that with me? 1, 2, 3, go. So it does make a difference, doesn't it? So let's see which tunes we can use with this 1, 6, 2, 5 progression. Okay, so what could we actually choose to have this 1, 6, 2, 5 progression? And this is on your sheet as well. We've got a piece, Try to Remember. I'll give you an example of that in a second. The Wonder of You, the famous Elvis Presley hit. We've got Lost in France. Some of you may not know that one. That's going back to the 70s. And Blue Moon. Blue Moon is perhaps the most popular one. And if I was to put that in the key of C, so that's our C, A minor, D minor, and G, yeah, or sevenths. I could put sevenths on. Okay, we have this going on. Blue moon, ba-da-da, 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 and so on and so forth. Just keeps going round and round and round in a circle. Let's go to G. So we got basically G, E minor or E minor seventh, A minor, and D or D seventh. It's up to you. Okay, so Wonder of You, this works with nice. If we go, here we go. Da, 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 da. Oh, oh, da, 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 da. Now you know the tune, so you can sing along. If it does go quiet for any moment, like it will come back again, so don't panic if that happens. It's not your equipment, so don't adjust your set. Okay, another one, if we go into 3, 4, let's stay in G. So we got G, E minor, A minor, and D, or D7. So we got, try to remember, da-da, da-da. Isn't it fascinating when you change the rhythm and also the sort of time signature? You think it's a completely different tune, but hey, guess what? It's the same format. It's the 1, 6, 2, 5. So I think that's enough to do with that. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so the next one is a variation on the previous one. So instead of having 1, 6, 2, 5, there's just one chord which is different, and we now have 1, 6, 4, 5. So let's see what that sounds like. I'll just do it in a couple of keys. So in C, we've got to C, A minor. Now here's the change. So now it's going to be a major chord on the third one along. So that's our 4 chord, and G on the 5. So we're sounding like, now this was very popular in the 50s and 60s. People like Neil Sedaka, I think, did this one, Teenager in Love. So we got, last night we had a quarrel. Okay, let's try another key. So if we go to F, so we got F, D minor, B flat, and C. Okay, so if I change the speed of that, let's try this then. So yeah, so we got Beyond the Sea there with exactly that sequence, which was 1, 6, 4, 5. Right, so let's have a little recap before we go any further. I introduced this lesson talking about the progression, the 1-4-5, and that is typical of any blues tune, any rock and rolly. And earlier on we played, I think, La Bamba, Twist and Shout, but I could have played Shake, Rattle and Roll, Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog, Jailhouse Rock, all the rock and rollies you can play with 3 chords. And I've given you examples and I've put them in colours. So basically, if I do it in C, it's in green. If it's in F, it's going to be in blue, and G is in red. And I've kept that colour theme going throughout all the other examples. The next one we looked at was the 1-5-6-4, and this is most popular with sort of music today as far as the sequence is concerned. So we've got 1-5-6-4 for numbers such as Country Roads, With or Without You by U2, Don't Stop Believing by Journey, We Are the Champions by Queen, I'm Yours. That there's so many. In fact, if you go onto YouTube afterwards and pop in 1-5-6-4, just put those 4 numbers in, and I think somebody's done 50 songs end on end using that same chord sort of sequence. So it's a fascinating watch, so have a look at that afterwards. Then we moved on to our 1-6-2-5, and I used pieces like Try to Remember, The Wonder of You, Blue Moon is perhaps the most popular one using that sequence. Then there was the variant. We've got 1-6-4-5. Okay, so we've got Teenager in Love. We've got Beyond the Sea, Stand By Me, Unchained Melody. We didn't do them all, but you get the idea. They all use that sequence, and you can try them out yourself afterwards. Okay, then we're now at, believe it or not, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I was wondering, is there a tune out there that had that? And I searched myself just for a bit of fun on YouTube, and there was a piece, and it's Uptown Girl by Billy Joel. So let's have a go at that progression. So we've got basically our 1 chord. If we're in C, it's always going to be C. Yep. Our number 2 chord is D minor. Yep. Our number 3 chord is E minor. Our number 4 chord is F. And our number 5 chord is G. Okay, now anything that's in green above, these are all going to match. So the 4 chord is always going to be F. This is in when it's green in the key of C. And the 5 chord is always going to be G. The 1 chord is always going to be the root, which is the C. So they don't change. This is basically it. So once you've learnt the patterns, you've got it. Okay, so why don't we do 4 beats on each one? In fact, I think the last 2, we do 2 beats on the F and the G. Let me play it for you. Sounds like this. That's it. So there's 2 each on those last ones, the F and the G. Would you like to do that with me? 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I find this sort of sequence is great for warming up with. So if you do this, then you're onto a winner. All your hands are nice and ready to do whatever it is you want to do next. Okay, so let's see how it fits. I'm probably going to get shot for doing this. Okay, if it goes quiet, you know why. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, now this piece doesn't carry on with that sequence all the way through, but it does keep coming back, and it's quite fascinating, I find anyway, to actually have the sequence in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So whoever created this was playing around, I think, in the circle of fifths, just to see what can I do different to everybody else and not fall into the traps of the previous ones, the 1-6-2-5s, the 1-5-6-4s, etc, etc. So take a short break there, and then I'm going to come back with the last one. So our last one today is actually going to use a progression of 8 chords, but what happens is those 8 chords repeat themselves over and over again. Okay, now this is most popularly known as the Canon in D, okay, but we're going to play it not only in D, we're going to play it in C, we're going to play it in F, we're going to play it in G, because we're ukulele players, yeah. Okay, right, so if we look at it in C, again, everything in C is in green. Our first chord, or one chord, is C. Next chord in the sequence is a 5 chord G. Next chord in the sequence is our 6th chord, A minor. Next one is a 3 chord, which is our E minor, which you can play either like that or E minor 7th. Up to you, okay? And then what have we got? We've got F, back to our 1 chord C, back to our 4 chord F, and then finally on the end our 5 chord G. So you notice in there's a lot of repeats. We've got the 1 chord, the C is in there twice, I can see. We've got the 5 chords in there twice as well. So that, you know, there is a lot of repetition in this. But what's it sound like together? Okay, so I'll count 2 in, and let's do 2 strums on each in the key of C. 1, 2, 3, go. Again. Okay, while we're at it, let's change the key. So exactly the sequence is the same, 1, 5, 6, 3, 4, 1, 4, 5, but we're now going to do it in the key of F. So this is in blue, and if you follow it through, I'll go a little bit quicker with this. So we've got F, C, D minor, A minor, B flat, F, B flat, and C. Okay, so you got this written out as well. Okay, so let's see what that sounds like. 2 in. 1, 2. Again. Okay, and very quickly, just to prove it works, let's go to the last line, which is in red, and it's the key of G. Again, the same pattern remains, 1, 5, 6, 3, 4, 1, 4, 5. Our first one is G, our next one is D, our next one is E minor, or E minor 7th, up to you, okay? Then B minor. Now, that can be a little bit tricky for some people to play, yes? So I'm going to give you a cheat, okay? If you don't want to play B minor like that, play that, which is B minor 7th, just a bar going over all of the strings, okay? And then C, then G, then C, and then D, or D7. Okay, so remember, all major chords, if you want to, could have a 7th on the end, and also the minor chords as well. So what does that sound like? Let's do it together. 2 in. 1, 2. Again. And of course, with this piece, if you want to do a little bit of right hand work, keep the timing the same, so we could have this sort of rhythm sort of going. So down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down. So we could have a... We could also do finger picking, which we're going to do later on in this course, which was kind of... and so on. So don't worry about that for now. The finger picking will come later on. So, in conclusion, this has been number 3. I hope you're enjoying these. If you are, to help me out, these are completely free. If you could on YouTube do a couple of things for me. One is to press the like on YouTube. The second is to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Remember, it's absolutely free. And the third thing is there's a little bell sort of symbol by the notification. And if you click that, basically you'll be notified as soon as lesson 4 comes out, or depending on where you're up to with this series at the time of viewing it. I really enjoy doing this, and it would really help me if you could do that for me. Now, there is another thing which I do, which involves a ukulele community. I've been doing this since October of 2019, and literally I've got a whole community of people learning around the world various things, and it's great because people don't feel like they're just on their own with a book or a DVD and nobody else is there. So let me give you an example. To date, I've got 65 lessons which have been recorded, and they're sort of uploaded 3 to 4 a month. But I've got 35 videos that people have actually sent back to me. So showing me what they can do from the tasks that I've set. And I also have a section in there which is open mic, which allows you to share with me and all the other patrons what it is you like to do, whether you want to sing to your uke or play a ukulele solo. So it's called Ukulele Shortcuts. It's via Patreon, and there's going to be a link in the description below if you want to check that out. Okay, so until the next time, I hope you've enjoyed this. Next one's going to be in about a week's time from now, so look out for it, and remember, stay safe. See you all then. Take care. Bye for now.